Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let me thank the Agency of State Support for NGOs of Azerbaijan and the Azerbaijan National NGO Organization Forum for the invitation to participate in this international conference on strengthening Global South NGOs in the context of geopolitical challenges that we face today. I would also like to thank the people of Azerbaijan for their generosity and friendship. The Global South NGO Platform Initiative seeks to foster cooperation and joint action amongst countries of the Global South. We must break the backbone of underdevelopment by cooperating to solve the needs of our peoples. The richness of our cultural heritage, the joint efforts of sharing our successes and innovation will permit people-to-people cooperation that can change the way we have been working until now. Our dependencies will end when we are capable of sharing our knowledge and our expertise. South-to-South cooperation is what we need. The world is confronting old and new challenges every day, from the structural and systemic problems that arose from the lack of education and health to the underpinnings of poverty, hunger, violence, and corruption. Just to mention a few, we can reach out to solutions to give our peoples the dignity of a better life for our children and grandchildren. The pandemic was a worldwide crisis that affected 193 member states of the United Nations, but that had a very different particularity. It also put at risk our lives and those of our dear ones. We were all confronted by death. We all know someone who died because of COVID-19 and know that it has not gone away, that it's still here and that we confront the possibility of another pandemic in the future. The pandemic put world society and institutions under great pressure. The fight against the unknown highlighted the incapacities of nations, governments, private and public institutions to preserve life and solve the problem of an epidemic. Lonely and bitter were those hours of anguish for the leaders of the world and for every human being on the planet. We still must study and analyze the tremendous consequences of the pandemic in all social, economic, and political aspects. The distrust in institutions has galvanized the thoughts of peoples around the world. Whatever government they have, powerlessness has not gone away. It is still in our minds and hearts. That, for me, is one of the most important reasons why we should endeavor to have a coordination of efforts in this Global South, to have the capacity amongst us to confront with success the challenges that history has put before us. The pandemic was the result of climate change, of demographic shifts that affect the interrelationship of humans with environments and the habitats of other animals that we live on this planet. We have to be more careful with our environment and learn from the millions of deaths that nothing is more important than sharing knowledge to understand the reality and put in place strategies and instruments of public policies that address those risks. It would seem that we are confronting not the danger, but ourselves. We relish in confrontation, in the lack of a capacity to solve our problems by dialogue and consensus. The problems we face today are more probably solved in the negotiating table, with the spirit of meeting with challenges jointly, rather than by taking a different road each other. The spirit of Bandung, the need to have solidarity rather than futile confrontations, should guide us to have mechanisms that work for the good of our peoples. We must call on all nations and world societies to assume a shared responsibility and engage in cooperation for building this better world that we all aspire to. A world where the multilateral structure that has been so much effort can respond with agility and efficiency. We must change and reform the United Nations in order to have the mechanism that works for all. The platform should be the instrument to engage in building this better world and underpin the multilateral structure based on international law, peace, security, human rights, and prosperity for all. We have to go back to the basics, to the fundamentals that made us create the UN after millions died in world wars. Now, 80 years later, we are still dreaming of the ending of conflict and war. misunderstanding and ignoring that more than 60 armed conflicts are happening around us, many of which we chose to disregard. We must know, ladies and gentlemen, that these conflicts affect a third of the members of the UN. We must integrate the policy definition of states, multilateral institutions, and private sectors to strengthen the social justice, ensure transparency, eliminate corruption, and protect human rights. Collaboration between civil society and states is fundamental to ensure peace, justice, and freedom for all peoples. We must eliminate violence in all its manifestations. We live in a society of anger against others and even against ourselves. Freedom from oppression, from want, from violence, poverty, climate deteriorations are important issues that we must be debated to have a better world. We need to cooperate on issues that are significant for world societies as disability and aging. We have to cooperate in complying with the Convention on the Rights of 1.3 billion persons with disabilities. We call for a worldwide engagement in the negotiation of the Convention on the Rights of Persons who are aging. We are more aging than children being born. We will be 2 billion persons aging in 25 years, that is in 2050. The world society is changing because of this paradigm shift, and we must address these as challenges that span the boundaries of nations and that are worldwide. We have been meeting in the halls of the UN in New York and around the world since the 60s to agree on a target of official development assistance, ODA, and that is intended to promote the economic development and welfare of developing countries. A world divided between those that have and those that do not will only bring the possibility of conflict. The ultimate goal is to solve global injustices by constructive dialogue and mutual trust. We should call on all countries to assume shared responsibilities and engage to build jointly a fair, sustainable international order. I would like to conclude that the effort to have a platform to cooperate amongst us is a testimony to collective determination and an answer to the greater needs of our peoples around the world. Thank you.